What's good, everybody? It's time to spit a bit of game to y'all about a lot of things actually, cause in this day and age, there's a lot of things that are going on in the world, and I've mentioned this before. Like even despite what my channel is like currently in the present time, or for what it was up till the present time, it's more so focused on the fighting game stuff, more specifically Street Fighter 6. But I already mentioned this once before, but there's more to Infinite than just like the whole fighting game stuff. This all ties back to something even deeper, which is why I had videos before. And one of my biggest ones, the Platinum versus Ultimate Master video, that shit, you know, I spoke about a lot of things outside the game too, things that dealt with more of the more spiritual aspects of self. I always talk about things of the self because to me that's what really all of it comes down to. Where everything is rooted in, you know, who you are as an individual, and how you interact and relate with the world, around you, or any hobby that you choose to endeavor in, such as like fighting games and stuff. And this is stuff that, I've taken and applied to things such as like actual combat sports and stuff, right? You could even take this into pretty much anything in life. Game is game, man. And that's something that I try to give to y'all. And but I don't sugarcoat anything. If I do ever like catch myself kind of semi-filtering things, it's not so much as me like hiding bits and pieces of information from you guys. It's more me just trying to condense everything just so y'all don't get overflown with information. Because honestly, thinking about it now, I really could write a book if I really wanted to, just because I have so many words that just flow through my head that I could literally put it all in like pages and stuff and probably come out with a whole series if I really wanted to do that and break it down that way. But I'm cool with the videos for now. But it's a bit more than that right now. Like, there's too much, honestly, to discuss in just one single video. But as for myself, as the player Infinite, right? And the being that pilots the fighting game player Infinite 47, like it's been quite a journey the past, I guess, about to be 4 months now. I'll say that my whole headspace had developed and changed a lot, especially during like I guess the peak of where I was uploading very frequently, like sometimes 3 to 4 times a month, and to me that's frequent. A lot has changed, and the reason why I've been kind of off is also because I just needed to take a seat and act on more as the student versus the instructor, if y'all get what I'm trying to say. Open my eyes and ears to start to learn a bit more, because especially in this whole fighting game shit, like you got to be able to have the ability to sit down and pay attention, and learn. Because if not, that's not you're not in any space to grow and develop or evolve as a player. And that's something that to me has been kind of running in my head like the entire time, just how fast things have grown and evolved in such little time. It's such an interesting time that we live in, because when I look at older folk and when I have conversations with them and stuff, right, they always tell me about how things had really developed and changed since when they were like my age and stuff, and they would have never even like guessed how the world would have looked like when they were my age. And even when I take a look at things now and compare it to how the rest of, you know, history was, like, a lot has happened within like the past 30 to 40 years. Especially with phones, the computers, the internet and shit. I don't think y'all realize how fast like the world is moving right now. Especially if you're like really young and you were born in like the 2010s and shit, or like in the later 2000s. Damn, man, you have no idea. Like, even looking back into the early 2000s, like, that time felt so much different, you know? But then again, I was really young, so I could be remembering things differently, you know? Because our own perspectives of, like, how life was already, like, much, much more fixed and shorter than that of when we are grown up, you know? So even I have to be mindful of, like, you know, how I remember things then, or even how I felt about those memories versus how, you know, I look at things now, both of the present and the past. And the future, I don't even try to like make fixed I guess assessments of what it would be, because that shit's a dice roll every time, you know. You never know when shit's gonna pop off in the future, for better or worse. But you know, life time and time again has shown me that in the silence of everything, out of nowhere, bang, shit could just fucking fly and stuff, you know? And you have no idea what to fucking do about it. Sometimes you just, life just gets the best of you and stuff, you know? It just is what it is. It sucks, but hey man, not everything's in our own control. And everyone out there is always trying to debate on, you know, like who's really in charge of that shit, right? But I'm not even here to get into that debate because, you know, you could believe in whatever you want to believe, you know? That's not, you know, what I'm here to really debate on, honestly. I got my own experiences in life to where I I have things that are fixed, I should say, from my end, just because it's been so evidently. There's enough evidence to kind of back up behind everything that I've seen for me to stand by a lot of what I believe in nowadays, you know. But I still have my eyes and ears open to my entire spirit, I should say, is open to more that might change my own perception of what I've known to be true as of today, you know. And that's why, you know, I've said that the past 2-3 months was like so big for me because a lot has been opened, you know. A lot has been shown in front of my face that all I have to say is like, wow, man. None of us know shit at the end of the day. I don't know shit. You don't know shit, man. And even when I know, like, you know, I know more than the next person. I know there's someone else that's seen something far beyond that, even what I've been able to reach, you know. There's levels to this shit, definitely. And you know, when you realize that and you understand like your own place in the world, you know, you have to, you know, decide from there whether or not you choose to move forward or if you want to remain where you are, right? But even then, like, I don't believe life in any way, shape, or form will forever keep you in the same spot, because the life moves in a constant motion and stuff. So in some way, like, you will be, I guess, participating in that same race or the game per se, you know, whether you choose to be a bystander or not, or even if you're in like last place and shit, you know. But not the race is not even like that. You know, there's no first or last place. It's more of the individual journey, you know. You know, everyone's got their own like story to mold and create, right? And some of it is not really, once again, in your control. Some things are just kind of already definitive from what I've seen, you know, things out of your control. But the rest of it is, you know, in your hands. The rest of it is, you know, your own space to fill. The pencil is yours to write down, you know, what happens in that specific scene, in that chapter, whatever you want to refer it to as, you know. And you're the only one that's gonna know, like, you know, where those gaps are, right? And if you don't, and the spaces that you don't have any say in, like, you don't need to touch that at all, you know. Even if you so desire to, for better or worse, like, it's just a part of like maturing as a human and stuff, you know, to understand that, you know, you're not at all like, if you believe in a higher power, like you're not the creator of it all, you know. You have some tools and some power of creation, but you are not that of, like, you know, the entity that had brought all of this into existence, you know, not all the way, you know, as we are currently encased in something that's flesh, you know. And even just looking at, you know, our own like makeup of a being, you know, if you believe in a soul or a spirit from within, right, that's something that's divine, that's beyond like what anything in this world could even fathom. But, you know, what is attached to you currently is, you know, a solid fleshly being that's finite, you know. It's limited in what it's able to, you know, perform with. And even the time, you know, time actually exists for a being that is carnal, you know. Eventually you will fall to time and eventually die. And that's just something that we all gotta acknowledge within ourselves, you know. So within that limited time, you know, you have to make conscious decisions in what you know, and what you want to do, you know, and where you want to eventually take yourselves all the way up to the final day, which you have no idea where that shit is, right? You don't have no idea when and where. And, well, I don't know. Sometimes I even feel like that there are things that are within us that allow us to kind of, you know, develop enough pattern seeing that we can kind of predict and tell when something's bound to happen, you know. I mean, that's just me personally. Like, I know a lot of that may make me sound like a schizophrenic and shit, but there's just so much evidence on my own end backing up, you know, how every time I've kind of like made my own little prediction, big or small, like they all end up turning out to be true in some way. They all become, you know, they all were manifested into physical reality without any real explanation as to, you know, why. As far as like why was I correct in that? I have no idea, man. But, you know, that's just something that y'all have to find out for yourselves, you know. It's crazy to almost say that, because I'm not trying to make it sound like I'm like fucking I don't know, a psychic mutant or some shit, like I'm fucking Xavier Charles or stuff, but it's just something that's true, you know. I'm gonna be real about it. And I think everyone has something that reflects that kind of ability, I should say, you know. being able to use the mind for something intuitive, you know, to help you guide yourself through the maze of the world that we live in right now. And you know, I didn't really use the theme of fighting games for this, but this all still comes down to like, you know, you could use all of this to apply to like help yourselves get better for competitive play, you know, because it really all still fits the mold of like the journey of, you know, that of being a high level pro player, any whatever you want to call it, right? Because you still have to do a bit of internal development, and you have to go through the fire per se in order to be a player that's capable of dealing with certain hurdles and stuff, and having the ability to be creative with your way of dominating the opponent. That shit is, you know, I mean, it's just the truth. You know, there's nothing else I need to say more about it, honestly. And the reason why I was so compelled to talk about it now is because, once again, like, we're living in very interesting times, you know? And it's about time that, you know, we all kind of step away from everything else that's kind of worked opposite to this, you know, things that try to like, you know, take control from us and prevent us from developing an ability to fish for ourselves per se, you know, to be able to study and think for ourselves. And the reason why I stick so much to so many like endeavors and hobbies that are more individually reliant, such as like combat sports and fighting games, is because it's all on you, you know? Even though you take the flack for when you do lose 100% of the way, when you do win, it's all on you, man, at the same time. The other flip side to that, you know? And that's just, to me, the way I personally would want things, you know? To be 100% responsible for all of it, you know, because no one can step in and tell you what is and isn't. You know, you are your own master, you are your own creator and stuff, you know. And that to me is where you take you have full control of, like, you know, how your life will develop into, how you will evolve, because you now have the say in, you know, you have the say in what goes in your life, right? And once again, I know I already said that there are just some things that you have no control of, but that's why I also said that you don't need to worry about that, because it was not meant for you to participate in it, or to have some kind of say in, you know. Whether you believe like in a higher being to have a say in that, or just like there's no, even if you don't believe a reason for any of it, right? You know, the fact still stands that you still have, you know, a some sort of a free will, and you're able to act on, you know, anything that you so choose, you know. Whether you choose to go against like your own nature, you see, even choosing not to go against, like, or choosing to go against, you know, what may seem natural to you, or what may, if you believe in destiny, what feels like is, you know, what you are destined for, that is an act of free will, right? Deciding not to do something, or even making the conscious decision and to not believe anything that I'm saying, which still makes it true. You are acting on your own accord and deciding not to believe anything that I say, which in a way still makes everything that I do say correct. If you can see what I'm trying to get y'all to see. And with that, like, honestly, I don't really got much else to say. It was just a small little message that I wanted to bring out, just so y'all could begin to, you know, take a bit of time off and step away and really like lock in your own like um journey to become more self-actualized, you know, as much as you can, because once again I said, like, at the end of the day, like, you know, there are still some things that kind of work as a rail, and you're still having to work within the boundaries of like how the world works around us. Because, you know, at the end of the day, like, if you're like me, then you're just another human being that, you know, eats, sleeps, and piss just like everybody else. So there are things that are just, you know, innately universal law to everyone, you know, especially when it comes down to emotions and stuff and other things that are embedded within like human flesh. But that stuff I'm gonna leave y'all to study up on, you know, because I could give you a lot of that, but I'm not trying to make this into a 2-hour video and things of the sorts. I'm gonna give y'all some a little small, just so y'all can you know, work it out yourselves and start to walk the walk for yourselves, for whatever it is that you so choose to endeavor in, and what you want to bring out, you know, what you want your the final picture to be in your life, the final scene per se. Because that's really what it comes down to. Like, there's no surviving any shit, you know. We all have to face the Grim Reaper at some point. But, you know, why not decide in, you know, choosing how you go out if you are gonna die? I don't know. That's just a certain way of thinking things. To me, it just makes things a lot more fun at the end of the day, you know. Hey, but like I said, you're free to think the way you want. So just be mindful of that. But I'm gonna get up on out of here. I have no idea what I'm gonna make out of the rest of this channel, honestly, at this point. I just been kind of so focused on everything else outside of this that you know, we'll see what happens, you know. I can't even speak my own mind on it. I'll just go with the flow with things and see how things turn out. Unless I choose out of my own free will to say, you know what? No, I'm going to come up on here and speak again on some things, just like right now. So, y'all be easy. And this is Infinite 47. I'll be seeing y'all around. Peace.